This is the story of a man named Ronald. Ronald was born in Cleveland, Ohio on May 17, 1934. In 1971, at age 37, he started his first business, a company that sold slot machines. The company failed, but Ronald, a man with integrity, spent a year repaying the company's debt rather than declaring bankruptcy. Much later, Ronald reflected, "I discovered very quickly that I had no business being in business. I was far better suited to engineering." Referring to his repayment of the debt, he said, "I felt very good. I can look in the mirror when I'm shaving and not be embarrassed. But at the same time, it was a very traumatic experience." Fast forward 5 years. Ronald was in his early 40s working an engineering job. Two of his co-workers, much younger than Ronald, asked him to settle one of their typical intense discussions about business and technology. Ronald invited the two younger men to his home, where the trio ended up having a 2-hour conversation during which one of the youngsters proposed starting a new business, with each young man taking a 45% stake and Ronald taking the remaining 10% of the company, basically to act as tiebreaker in case of any disputes and to be in general the adult in the room. Ronald, somewhat reluctantly, agreed. Almost immediately, the nascent company received a big order from a customer and needed materials to build the products they had sold. The partners secured a $15,000 line of credit to buy those materials. At this point, Ronald, who you remember was quite risk-averse due to his slot machine company experience, became concerned. He knew 3 things. Number 1, the customer that had placed the order had a reputation as a slow payer. Number 2, the business he had a 10% stake in was set up as a partnership, not a corporation. So if the customer didn't pay in time, the bank could go after the partners personally for the money. And number 3, Ronald was in his early 40s and had significant savings, whereas neither of his young partners had 2 nickels to rub together. If the bank came after the partners to get its loan repaid, it would all come out of Ronald's pocket. So Ronald decided he wanted out. Just 12 days after the partnership was set up, he took himself out of it. He sold his 10% share to his partners for $800, went to the registrar's office, and renounced his role in the company. Had Ronald kept his 10% stake, today it would be worth $196 billion, almost twice the net worth of Jeff Bezos, the world's richest person. You see, Ronald's full name is Ronald Wayne. The company that he took himself out of on April 12, 1976 was Apple Computer, now of course Apple Inc. And his 2 young partners were none other than Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. So, did Ron Wayne become bitter and forlorn? Has he spent the rest of his life regretting his 1976 decision? Quite the contrary. 20 years later, Wayne stated, "I have never had the slightest pangs of regret because I made the best decision with the information available to me at the time." He described Jobs and Wozniak as 2 whirlwinds, and the experience of working with them like having a tiger by the tail, and I couldn't keep up with these guys. In conclusion, he said that with the stress of staying with Apple, he probably would have wound up the richest man in the cemetery. If you think about it, no one has ever made a decision with the benefit of hindsight. Also, no one has ever known what the outcome would have been had they selected a different path. Ron Wayne is a man of character, integrity, and pragmatism, and the bitterness and resentfulness that a lesser human being would have felt in his position are far beneath him. His life may have been better had he stayed with Apple, or it may have been worse. He'll never know. So why dwell on it? His healthy, refreshing attitude is an example for us all. In the early 1990s, Wayne was reading a newspaper and ran across an ad placed by an autograph dealer. He offered money for documents with original signatures. Ron thought to himself, "I have this Apple contract sitting in my filing cabinet covered in dust and cobwebs." He was referring to the original Apple partnership agreement signed by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and himself. He thought, "What do I need to hold on to that for?" Wayne sold the contract to the autograph collector for $500. 20 years later, the contract sold at auction for $1.6 million. "In that, you have the story of my life," Wayne says, with a smile. I'm Jack Kazoo. Thank you for watching.